forward, what made our phones light up during the campaign, early on in the campaign, Bush came out with that amnesty plan for illegal immigrants. Our phones lit up. People who were, they didn't even know what we stood for, but they wanted something else beside a president, a Republican president, who would say that we're going to just, he said it wasn't an amnesty plan, but it was. Even people who didn't know what was wrong, who didn't understand, they just know that's wrong. People just instinctually know that letting people just come across the borders and then taking 10 million people and just saying, oh, we'll just call it legal. It was illegal, but we'll call it legal. People just viscerally responded to that. And more of that is happening. More and more of that. A man asked me after a speech, I gave a speech in Washington, D.C., at Mount Olivet Cemetery in Washington, D.C. I gave a speech there, and a man came up to me afterwards. And we had talked about what it means to be an American. Americans believe that there's a creator God, our rights come from him, and the purpose of government is to protect those rights. And we talked about the fact that it doesn't, where you were born doesn't make you an American. Whether or not you have a social security number, whether or not you have a green card or a passport or a driver's license, none of those things make you an American. What makes you an American is what you believe. And we talked about that in the speech. And he came up to me afterwards and he said, Mr. Perouka, nobody can answer this. And he said, well, I want to throw this question at you. And this was an older man who had just started to wake up to understand how he'd been deceived. He was kind of angry about how he'd been deceived most of his life. And he said, why won't either party defend the borders? Why won't Mr. Bush or those who oppose Mr. Bush, why won't he stop the invasion that's happening into America? And I said, think about it for a second. Remember what we talked about? What makes you an American? Because they're not Americans. Because they are not Americans. Now that's a big thought. How can you think that the President of the United States is not an American? Well, what's an American? There's an almighty everlasting God. Our rights come from him, and the purpose of government is to protect those rights, not redistribute wealth, not make sure your seatbelt's buckled, not make sure you're wearing a helmet, not putting speed light cameras everywhere. No, the purpose of American government is to protect those rights, which includes protecting the borders. He's not an American. His allegiance is to a new world order. Now, that means, think about it a minute, it's a big thought, that means that the more chaos that happens because people come in through our borders, the more there's chaos and disharmony in America, the easier it is to subsume America into a new world order. The easier that can occur, the more chaos and disruption there is. So if you think about it that way, that's also the reason why they won't stop abortion. Abortion kills Americans. These are people whose commitment is not to America, allowing the destruction of American children and letting other nationalities flood in. He said to me, the man said to me, wow, well that explains, he said, that explains a whole bushel of things. I said, well, it does, doesn't it? If you